All right, so this morning I want to show you a little video on these axles and a discrepancy that I found in an attempt to basically swap out the passenger side axle on this donor car, which is a 2009 Z06. We were having a challenge or a problem with one of the boots, the inner boot. We couldn't get it to seal and it kept leaking grease. After we took it apart to make an inspection on the CV, everything checked out fine. So instead of trying to just repair the boot, we were just going to swap out the entire axle assembly. So this is where it is now. We took everything apart. Pretty straightforward, no big issues. But the axle we ordered, which the seller identified as being compatible with the Z06, is not. And so quite a bit of research, a little bit of studying. Here's kind of the differences that we realized and what we found, so I'll share with you guys. All right, this axle is the OEM. This came out of the 2009 Z06. This axle is what was ordered and shipped. They said it came out of a 2011, I believe. But by looking just a visual representation, this has kind of 3 channels on the CV, outer CV housing. This does not. The female spline, or the spline that goes towards the transmission, is the same. The overall length is the same, but the biggest difference is the spline size. You can see there's an obvious spline size difference. This measures, I don't have a micrometer, sorry. This measures about 1 7/8 of an inch. This measures about 1 1/4. So very big difference there. The other difference is on this bearing, where this will seat and sit down into the bearing on the hub. Very different there as well. Now all the looking around and comparing and looking at some of the blogs and things, there is some years discrepancies that not all these axles are the same. And from what I've learned, and I could be wrong, don't take this as concrete, I think that there's 2 versions. There's this version of the axle, and then there's this version of the axle, which is basically common for the base models. So if you're shopping around, reference their pictures, take a look at the CV, and then take a look at the spline. There's an obvious size difference as well. The nuts are the same, but the splines are very different. Hope this helps in your endeavors. It was a kind of a trial for ours, but we learn as we go sometimes.